Hello everyone, let's talk about neurons. Before we discuss neurons, it's important to understand that we have two main types of cells in our nervous system. We have neurons and glia. Now glial cells are a little bit different because they don't interact with our environment. We have astrocytes, which help clean up debris and support our neurons. We also have microglia, which help with immune function. There are other types of glial cells, but we won't be discussing them in this video. Now the main part of the neuronal cell, as you can see right here, is the soma. Inside the soma, we have a bunch of different types of organelles, such as the mitochondria. Now in order to make energy, the mitochondria must create ATP through a process called oxidative phosphorylation. This ATP will be used as an energy source throughout the cell for different functions. Over here we have the nucleus. The nucleus will store our genetic information in the form of DNA. This is just like any other cell. Surrounding the nucleus, we have what we call the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER for short. On the ER, we have small ribosomes. Now the DNA inside of the nucleus will be transcribed into mRNA. This mRNA will interact with these ribosomes, creating proteins. These proteins can be used for many different things, such as enzymes or transporters. Now off of the soma, we have what we call dendrites, which are these tree-like protrusions. These dendrites will receive information from other neurons. Now off to the side, we have what we call the axon. The axon is what we can call the wire of our neuron. This will transmit information from one place to another. Now if this is the wire, then on the outside, these blue fatty coats called myelin can be the plastic coating of our wire. This will help insulate and speed up the movement of electrical activity inside the neuron. If we zoom into the axon here, we can see these green-like strips, which are called neurofilaments. These neurofilaments are used for support as well as transport inside the axon. So on the neurofilament, we will find two proteins, one called kinesin and one called dynein. These will both carry very, very important chemicals called neurotransmitters from one part of the neuron to the other. So the kinesin will move in the forward direction, and the dynein will move in the backwards direction. Now once we reach the end of the axon, we will find ourselves at what we call the terminal button. This will connect to the dendrites that we discussed previously. This connection will have a small space called the synapse. Now at the synapse, these neurotransmitters right here, such as dopamine or serotonin, will be transported through the synapse and will land on these receptors here. Once they land on the receptor, this will change the neurochemistry and cause further actions throughout the neurons. There are a few different types of neurons, and we will label them now. So first, we have a unipolar neuron right here. This means we can only send a signal in one direction, never backwards. We also have what we call a pseudo-unipolar neuron. This again will only send the signal in one direction, but then can be split off into two different directions. Now, these types of neurons are usually sensory neurons, which help us interact with our environment. Secondly, we have what we call a bipolar neuron. Now, these can send signals in two directions, forwards and backwards relative to the cell body. These are usually interneurons, which help us communicate between motor neurons and sensory neurons. Lastly, we have what we call multipolar neurons. These are mostly motor neurons and help us actually interact with our muscle cells in order to move our body. Thank you and have a good day.